Money FM 89.3. Best of breakfast. Mind your business. Only on Money FM 89.3.
Welcome to Mind Your Business. I'm Ahmad Akhtar. AI is no longer just a buzzword. It's a game changer for businesses across industries. But while large enterprises have been quick to integrate AI into their operations, many SMEs in Southeast Asia still struggle with adoption, whether due to cost, complexity, or uncertainty about ROI. So as AI continues to reshape the business landscape, how can organizations leverage its full potential in a way that delivers real, measurable impact? With extensive experience leading digital transformation across industries, our next guest is at the forefront of empowering businesses with cutting-edge AI solutions. Under her leadership, SAP, a leading enterprise application and business AI company, has been actively driving AI innovation and making enterprise tech more accessible. So to find out how she's helping companies not just adopt AI, but truly benefit from it, we're pleased to welcome on the show Verena Siow, President and Managing Director for SAP Southeast Asia. Good morning, Verena.
Good morning, Matt. Thank you so much for having me here on this rainy Monday morning.
It is a rainy morning. Let's
Yes.
hope the weather lets up for the rest of the week. Now, AI adoption has been accelerating in Southeast Asia. Companies planning to increase AI and machine learning investments by 67% in 2023. It's been on a pretty wild hype cycle. Where do we stand today, Verena?
Yeah. Well, like you said, there's been a lot of interest, a lot of curiosity around AI. And at this point, we are moving beyond the hype and POCs that many companies are doing now into value realization. What's the real value that companies want to drive from AI? So it's an interesting time, and it's time that we demonstrate the value. At SAP, as you mentioned, we are the leading enterprise applications company and be working with many companies and enterprises in Southeast Asia to see value from AI investments. We truly believe that AI needs to be reliable, relevant, and responsible and drive those outcomes for companies large and small.
Yeah, you mentioned value realization, and AI-powered co-pilots have kind of struck a chord on that front. They've been dominating the narrative. What is the next phase? Will we see AI evolve from an assistant to an autonomous decision maker?
Well, that's a really good question. Well, for SAP, we have also our version of a co-pilot called Joule.
Okay.
That can run across all applications. I would say the next phase is to make sure that we leverage on Joule, which can help and evolve the way we use the application. So if you think about it, SAP is an enterprise application.
Yeah.
Using natural language, you can then prompt Joule, which is the co-pilot, right? I ask questions and get data and get insights, not just within the SAP application that you're using, but across various SAP applications. So we're getting now into, you have heard a lot about agentic AI, right? We are working towards Joule agents, where you have various Joule agents coming together with an end-to-end workflow. I would say that it would assist with decision-making, but it will not replace it fully, because ultimately people have to make decisions, and like IBM saying from some time, you can't hold a machine accountable.
Yeah, so they might surpass us on the IQ front, but not the EQ front, perhaps.
Definitely.
Now, SAP has also been making strategic investments in the region, 12 million Sing dollars for its Digital Innovation Accelerator, and a total investment of nearly 300 million in Singapore's deep tech ecosystem since 2019. Can you share some real-world examples of SAP's AI impact in Southeast Asia? Who's getting it right? Who's not getting it right? Who's on the fence?
Yeah. So generally, we have seen huge interest from our customers on adopting AI. Some great examples are actually from Brunei, Darussalam Assets, where they have leverage on AI within their HR application success factors to improve and drive productivity. So, for example, it brought down their recruiting time from 3 to 4 months to only 2 to 3 weeks.
Right.
So that's I think, excellent use case that many companies can easily adopt from a HR system application. Another great example would be Bank Danamon from Indonesia, which also have used Joule, our co-pilot, as well as other AI to drive and expedite the productivity of their users. So we are seeing great interest, and I think one of the easiest ways for companies to adopt is think about the use case. What are the use cases that you will see the greatest productivity and also the easiest to implement? What are the quick wins that companies can leverage on? And those will be able to drive great benefit for them. And then when you expand across the entire SAP portfolio, that's when you can see we envision 30% increase in productivity.
Yeah, so you mentioned two use cases there. One is decision-making in the HR case, and the other was customer experience. Other key areas for integration would be, for example, automation, supply chain management, where companies or enterprises use AI to predict demand, to optimize inventory. Are you seeing a lot of that as well?
Yes, I think we've seen greater interest in that, in supply chain optimization, also in manufacturing. So the Digital Accelerator program that you mentioned that was launched in collaboration with EDB last year is focused on three key industries. One is FSI, one is travel logistics, and the third one in advanced manufacturing. So we're seeing great interest from customers, and we look forward to sharing more use cases and more value that we are driving together with these customers in the future.
Yeah, on the supply chain management front, I just want to touch on supply chain disruptions or potential ones that could arise out of U.S. tariffs that are currently being put in place by President Donald Trump. We're seeing layoffs as a result. We're seeing cutbacks. Do you think that's going to affect an enterprise's ability to spend on AI?
I think it would not necessarily discourage, but they would spend in areas that would truly bring the value, right? So if you have supply chain disruption, then what can you do to mitigate the risk? Right, so in different areas that companies would spend, and actually AI is a great way to improve productivity and efficiency. So there are some use cases that you can do to manage that risk as well.
Okay. There's a lot of hype around AI that we've talked about, and it's easy to get lost in it. But obviously, we have got to come back to KPIs and ROI. How do you define AI success for enterprises? What are some of the key metrics that businesses should be tracking?
That's a really good question, and one that many enterprises would ask.
Yep.
Our feedback and advice would always be to look at the use case, right? So decide on what is the use cases you want to start with, and not try to do too many at the same time, right? So start with one, like for HR or finance or supply chain, and then derive the value from that. When you have seen value, then you could roll out to other areas. So it really depends on the use case that the enterprise would like to get into, and it varies from one to the other.
Right. There's also been a lot of discussion, Verena, about bridging the AI implementation gap. So the question is, what is the biggest reason or some of the biggest reasons that AI projects fail in enterprise settings?
I would say we've seen it boils down to two main reasons. One is really where to start. Right? Where do you start? But once you work out where to start, then the other key part, which is really critical to the success of an AI project, is data. Right, because it can only work when the data quality is accurate, like you have discussed earlier, right? So because of it, we have launched just last month the SAP Business Data Cloud, where we are bringing together SAP and non-SAP data, because there's still a lot of data in the enterprise environment that sits outside SAP, but bringing it together in the unified data platform, and then enabling our customers and enterprises to drive decision-making or to drive, of course, AI use cases from that. So that's really powerful, and that's really important because data accuracy is fundamental to driving the success of an AI project.
Yeah, another thing that AI is often being framed as is a productivity booster. But what about job displacement on the other hand? What's SAP's stance on how AI will impact the workforce? Because nowadays you've got pressure for parents to have their kids to have skills to be AI ready to avoid being a casualty of imminent disruption. So what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, AI definitely is a huge productivity booster. We see productivity increases by 30% with the use of AI across the enterprise. However, it's not about removing jobs. It is about then enabling the employees and the teams to focus more on value-adding strategic tasks instead of doing mundane tasks. So AI, I would say, essentially helps to remove all these mundane administrative tasks that we all have to do, but we may not necessarily enjoy and bring the most value. The second part about parents encouraging their kids, I think that's something that definitely is there, that we need to think about how the skills of our next generation need to evolve to make sure that they are up to speed on the latest technology, whether it's AI or any other innovations. I believe that the skills required of the workforce will evolve as we move along, and that has always been the case throughout the many generations. Yeah,
and also to strike a balance and make sure the kids don't feel overwhelmed by the task that's laid out in front of them. Let's shift our attention to SMEs. Now, they make up 99% of businesses here in Southeast Asia and contribute pretty significantly to employment and GDP. Yet, many find enterprise-grade AI solutions far too complex or even costly. Now, some critics argue that large enterprise AI solutions like SAP's are expensive, only accessible to big players. What's your counter to that? How is SAP making AI adoption feasible for SMEs?
Yeah. Like you said, 99% of the enterprises in Southeast Asia are SMEs. And in fact, majority of our customers are SMEs. And actually, SMEs would see the most improvement in productivity because they have less resources from using AI. And AI does not have to be expensive. For SAP, a lot of our AI is embedded in the business applications and business processes that we're running for these enterprises, large and small. And they would see great boost from it and much value from it.
In Southeast Asia, the approach to AI is somewhat different from the rest of the world. Are there unique challenges or advantages in this region? And secondly, which industries in the region stand to benefit the most from AI adoption, let's say in the next 2 years?
Yeah, I would say that the appetite for AI in Southeast Asia is tremendous. And that's because in many cases, a lot of the enterprises can leapfrog against the peers because they don't have that legacy to think about. And there's a lot of curiosity and interest to adopt innovation to be more productive and as a competitive differentiator. So I would say that the differentiator here is that the appetite to adopt AI and to see benefits from it is tremendous. In fact, for SAP, I'm very proud that Southeast Asia has one of the highest AI adoption for SAP globally. So we see huge interest and a lot of customers have already started on that journey already.
Which industries in Southeast Asia stand to benefit the most from AI adoption in the next, let's say, 2 to 3 years?
So SAP would have solutions that serve 26 industries. And we believe that all industries would see great benefits from AI over the next few years. Because it all depends on the use case. And for each industry, there are different areas that could help them to be more effective and more productive.
Let's shift our attention again to your leadership, entrepreneurial role in nurturing tech in the region. You have an overarching role as the president and managing director of such a big company. What factors do you believe are fundamentally key to your success?
Well, Southeast Asia is a hotbed of tech talent. In Singapore, we have established labs, R&D here 3 years ago, and this year is our 3rd year anniversary to get in collaboration with EDB. And we have recruited graduates from NUS, NTU as part of our labs team. We started off the commitment was to hire up to 200 graduates. And today I'm happy to share that we have more than that, 420, that is focused on AI development. So a lot of the AI innovations that we ship across the world are, in fact, developed out of the labs here in Singapore. Because we see the huge talent and the quality of talent that we get here is tremendous. To expand into that, we are also setting up labs in Vietnam later this year.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll share more about it when time comes.
What's hot in Vietnam these days?
What's hot in Vietnam? Well, I think there is a lot of interest in innovation. A lot of, like you say, SMEs, they are looking to see how they can accelerate the growth.
Yeah.
And that's why in Southeast Asia, our tagline is around how we help enterprises accelerate to innovate. Because you truly need to move on the path of acceleration to innovate and then to drive business growth.
Verena, it's been a pleasure having you on the show this morning. Thank you for sharing your time and your insights.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. That was Verena Siow, President and Managing Director for SAP Southeast Asia. Stay with Money FM 89.3.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.